Hi everyone, this is Channel The Jungle Recap. Today I will show you to watch Vietnamese horror movies. The culture and beliefs, customs and habits of the Vietnamese people will be a highlight in this work, besides the horror scenes. Before entering the story, please help subscribe channel, like and comment so that the video can be reached and better. Be careful and spoilers ahead.
At the beginning of the movie, we see a group of friends having a get-together on a rainy night after a decade. When Quang goes to burn incense for Lam's dad, the lights go off, and suddenly someone knocks on the door. Lam opens the door and finds Strong there, who was all wet because of the rain. Lam asks his wife to get some clothes for him, and meanwhile, Quang's wife suggests telling ghost stories, one story per person. Now Quang starts telling a story about the actress Lan Huang, who was really famous in the 1960s. Once she drank sugar cane juice from the cart, which made the owner very famous, and he drew a picture of her on his cart as a souvenir. After that, other carts copied, and every car now has her picture as well. But one day a man attacked her with acid, due to which her face was ruined and she went missing after that. Years later, an actress named Nu living in Lan's house, who takes two girls as her student, one of which is named Nok. Nu tells them that once they become an actor, their face and body are no longer theirs but that of the public. That's why they have to take care of themselves, especially their face. Now Nok shares all this with her boyfriend too, after which they sleep. Late that night, Nok wakes up seeing a terrible dream, due to which she gets terrified. The next day Nok comes to know that Nu has been told about her boyfriend by another student, only then the phone rings, and outside she asks her why did she tell her about her boyfriend. The girl says she is snatching her career and this leads to a small fight between the two. Now when Nok is picking up her belongings, her attention is drawn toward a room where she sees a woman, and then she gets attacked. Suddenly she wakes up and finds herself in Nu's house. Nok apologizes for sleeping and bothering her and then she leaves for her house. Now on reaching home she notices that she forgot her purse at Nu's place, so she goes back to her house but the door is locked. Only then she hears someone's scream from inside, due to which she gets a little worried. But then she receives a message from Nu asking her to go home. Now at home, she tells her boyfriend that surely she heard a scream and also saw a ghost that looked like Lan Huang. Her boyfriend says he feels that something is off, because Nu could easily afford a luxurious villa, so why did she choose the old house of Lan Huang? Nok says it's not only her, but the famous actress Hung previously bought that villa too. Now a few days later Nok goes back to Nu's house, where Nu tells her that she will be her official co-star from now on. Nok gets excited to hear this, and Nu asks her to move here to live with her from today. She also requests her to break up with her boyfriend, and knowing this, her boyfriend gets very angry. But Nok is so desperate to become an actress that she breaks up with him and shifts to Nu's house. Nu asks her to follow two rules while living here: no going upstairs without permission, and no walking around the house late at night. She then comes back to give her soup and asks her to finish her meal and go to bed early. Now the next day she gets Nok introduced to the director, who says that Nok is new yet so no one will invest in the film, to which Nu says that she will become the investor. Then a few days later, she officially introduces Nok to the media as a cast of her new film Face of Evil. Now that evening Nu tells Nok that she is transferring this house in her name, which makes Nok a little nervous and says she can't accept it, but Nu says that whatever belongs to her will be hers now. Later that night, we see Nu dancing in her room, after which she sees her face in the mirror and starts crying. Here Nok is reading her script when her boyfriend messages her saying that he has to tell her something important, but she ignores him. Then late at night, she hears a scream in the house, and we see Nu peeling off the skin from her face, which she then put aside. Here Nok is going toward Nu's room which she senses and haunts her, and Nok then wakes up in her room. Now later Nok's boyfriend comes to meet her at Nu's house but Nu sees him, and when Nok comes to her, Nu tells her that the director has rescheduled. Then some people attack Nok's boyfriend that night, and in order to escape from them he dies in an accident. Here Nu gives soup to Nok but she throws it in a bag, after which Nu leaves there. Now later Nok gets terrified seeing Nu peeling her face, and when she tries to leave, Nu catches her. Then when she wakes up, she finds herself locked in a secret room, where she gets terrified seeing another woman with a severely disfigured face. Then Nu comes there and Nok asks her for help, but the woman tells her that Nu is Lan Huang. Now after she leaves, the real Nu tells Nok that Lan Huang will steal her face next. She has learned black magic so she could take the skin off someone's face. When she met her, she was using the face of Hong Hong. For the past 20 years she was using her face, and for the next 20 years will be her. Nok asks her how no one has ever doubted that she is not Nu, to which Nu says that Lan Huang calculated everything, to the point where no one could doubt anything at all. Then after some time when Lan Huang comes back to that room, we see Nok trying to cut the rope. Lan Huang then goes to Nu and puts her skin on Nu's face, and in the meantime, Nok manages to get free and tries to escape. However, she finds that all the doors are locked, and then Lan Huang comes over there. But before she could steal Nok's face, Nok cuts her own face with a glass, which enrages Lan Huang and she kills her by stabbing with the same piece of glass, and then a few days later, we see Nu with her new victim. Now the second story begins with Den Pi, a young man who sells cotton candies for a living and is obsessed with magic. A girl comes to him and says that she wants to see his magic trick, and in return she will give him candy. Now when he comes back home, he meets his neighbor Aunt Nam there. He sees that her violin is broken again, and she says just like her, it's nearly at its end. He asks her about the song that she plays every night at 9 o'clock, to which she says Don't Leave Me Alone is a sad song about death. She is afraid that when she dies, she would be lonely just like that. We then see Den Pi's father Tho Ip apologizing to someone while performing some ritual. Now later during dinner, Tho Ip tells Den Pi to stop showing this useless magic and find a job so that he can earn money to buy offerings. Troubled by his words, Den Pi comes out where he meets the girl who asks him why he didn't come to do the magic tricks that he promised her the other day. Den Pi says he just met her this afternoon, to which the girl demonically says once you promised, please keep it. Den Pi runs after her, where a man asks him to sit and eat, and she will be back soon. The man offers him food and Den Pi gets terrified seeing that he is headless, and has an eye and mouth on his hands. Now it turns out to be a nightmare, but then he runs to the washroom and notices that his eyes are bleeding. He then goes to his father, who tells him that if he can't do it, don't promise it. Now one night Den Pi goes to his dad's room where he finds a box under his bed. He opens that box containing some of the magic trick stuff, and here we learn that once Tho Ip had gone to see a magic show in his childhood, and since then he too became obsessed with magic. But his parents did not like this, so they scolded him and burned his magic items in front of him. That day Tho Ip ran away from home and chose magic over his parents. Then after a few years, he gets a mirror, which is actually a devil mirror, and he keeps it at his house. Now ever since his behavior had become very strange and he had to perform a new trick every day for the devil. But slowly all his tricks start getting over and he was not able to think of new tricks, for which he apologizes to devil. Now under pressure, he performs a dangerous trick the next day, in which he kills a girl. The next day Den Pi sees that Aunt Nam's house is for sale and meets her son there. He says Aunt Nam used to live here alone, and now he is here, so she must be very happy. The man says this house has been left empty for decades, to which Den Pi says an old lady is still living in this house, and every night she plays the violin too. The man gets shocked to hear this and tells him that her mother was just like he described her when she was alive. Now the next morning when Den Pi wakes up there is a cut on his leg, and here Tho Ip does the last ritual and says that today he will sacrifice his body. He then begins his last performance and before the devil could kill him, Den Pi reaches there and save him. But suddenly he reaches a different place where the devil in the guise of that girl tells him that he broke his promise. He apologizes to her and tries to flee, but then he reaches his home, where again he hears the devil's voice and sees his father walking with a knife in his hand. Here it is revealed that Den is merely an illusion conjured up by Tho Ip to escape loneliness. He gets tired of living life as a crazy man and kills himself by stabbing his stomach with a knife. Now the third story begins in which we see a couple Mr. Den and Mrs. Hang, who request a psychic named Bitch to find the remains of their aunt Ut. She asks them where Miss Ut died and how come they have started looking for her now. They both then leave there after giving answers to her questions. That night, Miss Bitch sees a headless ghost in her house, which attacks her. Suddenly she wakes up from sleep, and in her hand is the photo of Miss Ut which the couple had given to her. She asks Miss Ut if it's her, please let her know, and then a vision leads her to a place called Long On. She makes a trip to the place and tries to locate Miss Ut. She finds a hut there, and when she enters it, the door closes automatically and she encounters an old woman there. Bitch tells her that she does work related to spirituality and that she came down here to find the remains of a dead young girl. The old woman tells her not to look for her anymore, and if she continues looking for her, she will die. Now before Bitch could ask her anything, that old woman angrily asks her to leave from there. But Bitch declines the warning and goes on to search for Ut, and after some time she hears someone calling her name. Then the light there starts flickering and she sees someone's shadow behind her, fearing which she runs away from there and falls into a ditch. Now when she comes out from there, she again hears someone calling her name. She reaches a place searching for Miss Ut and starts digging the ground there, but then someone attacks her and knocks her unconscious. Now the next morning when she regains consciousness, she sees that some people are digging there and Mr. Din is getting them to do this work. After this, Bitch reaches Miss Ut's house where she sees her spirit, which takes her upstairs. Now upstairs we see Mr. Din and Mrs. Hang, where Mrs. Hang begs him to try to find Ut for her. To which Mr. Hang says that psychic energy doesn't always work, and he notices Bitch listening all this from outside. Now when she returns to her home, she is welcomed by two children with big smiles and they were playing with a head instead of a ball. Bitch gets terrified seeing this and enters her house. Now at night when Bitch is sleeping, the beheaded ghost reappears in her room and begins to strangle her, after which she finds herself back at Long On where she sees a man digging the ground, and he buries something there. Here Bitch learns that Ut was raped and beheaded years ago. She pushes the man and finds Ut's skull on the ground there, but then the man attacks her and beheads her as well. Now Miss Ut comes in front of her and gets inside her, and only then Miss Hang reaches there and wakes up Mr. Din. He shows her the skull of Miss Ut, and here we learn that Bitch is actually Miss Ut's spirit. Now it is revealed that Mr. Din himself is a psychic, and he knew that all along. He tells that when a person dies, the soul is separated into 3 parts. If they want to know where their body is buried, the only way is to deceive one part of their soul and let it lead them to the lost body. Until now Ut's soul was helping them to find her body. Mrs. Hang then performs a ceremony for her and bids goodbye to her sister, after which she gets disappeared in the light. Now all 5 friends are sitting in the same room by the time all 3 stories end. But by this time, the electricity has come back. All the friends go back to their rooms to sleep, except for Zhang, who walks awkwardly towards the photo of Lam's father, and news on TV shows about a car accident and strangely, the driver is named Zhang. The movie ends with this shocking twist that it is Zhang's ghost sitting in this room, and he had died in that accident. Thanks for watching.